Hello, everyone. Hello. This is Andrea St. Louis, and I'm the owner of Step Into Purpose Consulting and the author of the book 40 Days Lighter, A Devotional Journey for Women Determined to Live Free, and the new ebook, The Beauty of the Bloom, Keys to Embracing Your Journey to Transformation. And I'm coming to you with a very quick live. Earlier this week, I shared a list. I started sharing a list of 15 ways to prepare for your blooming season. Some of us are coming into bloom. We've been planted, we've been growing, and our blooming season is coming. But maybe you're at a different stage. We're all at different stages in our development. And so I want to encourage someone with this list. And so a couple of days ago, we talked about finding good ground. And yesterday, I released an amazing podcast over on the Step Into Purpose podcast. If you haven't checked it out yet, check the links in my about, in my bio, and you can go ahead and listen to that podcast. I had an amazing interview with Vanessa Dearborn of My Dearborn Child, and so you'll want to hear that. You'll be very encouraged to find good ground and know when you're not in good ground and know how to find it when the time comes. And also get the courage to move, to make the right moves. And so I wanted to come to you today. I posted over on the Step Into Purpose Consulting Instagram page, tip number two. And if you are on my mailing list, you've gotten the first 5 tips so far. And so if you haven't joined, head to www.stepin2purpose.com. That's stepintopurpose.com to join my mailing list so that you can stay up to date with everything that I'm posting, publishing, events, lives, all of that, as well as I'm releasing some amazing resources. So I recently released the ebook, but I'm getting ready to release a career strategy planner that I'm really excited about. So stay tuned for that because I want to help you be ready for your blooming season. And so today, really quickly, we are talking about tip number 2, which is don't fear the dirt. So tip number 1 of our 15 ways to prepare for your blooming season was find good ground. But tip number 2 is don't fear the dirt. Don't fear the dirt. And so one of the things that I talked about in the ebook and I've been talking about, if you checked out my Instagram post over on Step Into Purpose Consulting, is that sometimes we can get so caught up in the stuff that seems to cover us when we're being planted, right? We are seeds that are being planted and we're going to produce and we're going to bear fruit. But that covering process, man, that sometimes we feel like if we're out of sight, then we're going to be out of mind as well. And so that can be so discouraging. And to make matters worse, when people begin to heap dirt on our names. So whether you've gone back to school, you've started a business, you're making different choices for your life, you're in a relationship, you're raising children, whatever the case may be, you're just living your best life. You're traveling. You've decided that you want to spend your money differently, spend your time differently. You want to make the most of your life and walk out your purpose. Sometimes you can find that people begin to say, oh, you're acting funny. You're being different now. You've changed. And it can become discouraging because as they begin to have conversations about you and then, you ever go on Facebook or Instagram and you realize that your friends are out with your friends, but you weren't invited by either group of friends. Yeah. And so you feel like now you're hidden away. You're isolated from the people that you're used to being around. But the truth is that covering process is necessary. I think I said on the previous live that a seed not planted in the right place won't produce what it's supposed to. When a seed is, whether you have it in the little packets or you have it in something else, in a cabinet, in the garage, even on the counter, if you leave it out and it gets a little moist, it might sprout. But it's eventually going to die. It's going to shrivel up and die because it's not planted. The thing is, the dirt is necessary for you to grow. The dirt is necessary for you to grow. I think about Joseph and his journey through a pit and into a prison before he got to the palace. The dirt is necessary for you to grow. Yes, Joseph had dreams and God showed him what would happen and spoke to him very, clearly in his dreams. Like he had very clear dreams. But the thing is, I believe that Joseph grew in wisdom as he went through these processes, through these experiences. Here is Potiphar's wife trying to, get intimate with the poor guy. And he said, I can't do this thing. I can't do this thing to my master. And now she is heaping more dirt on his name. Heaping more dirt on his name. And if that was, for a lot of us, we might feel like we've been buried. We've been blacklisted. We've been put off to the side, never to be remembered. But the truth is that that dirt that's being piled on, I talk about my experience. My mom used to be gardening, and the worst was if she decided to fertilize the soil with cow manure because it smells gross. And I just thought it was a gross part of the process. But she understood that whether it's compost or cow manure, whatever the case may be, horse manure, any of those, the fertilizer that it provides causes the flowers to grow. And, you know, she had practical jungles outside of every house we've lived in. So I guess that she knows what she's doing. I don't have a very green thumb, so I can't stake a claim on whether or not it's necessary. But the point is that the fertilizer was needed to help the plants grow healthy and strong. The fertilizer, the unpleasant stuff. Fertilizer doesn't smell good, but the unpleasant stuff was necessary in order for the flowers to bloom the way they're supposed to. The unpleasant stuff is necessary in an orchard for fruit trees to bear the kind of fruit they're supposed to. The unpleasant stuff becomes the fertilizer. What is that saying to us if we're going to prepare for our blooming season? Maybe we need to stop seeing these hard places where it seems like we just can't defend our name fast enough, right? Maintain your integrity. You're a seed, and that dirt is only going to help you grow. That fertilizer is only going to help you grow. Don't internalize the word curses. Don't internalize the negative things that have been said about you. Don't internalize them and consider them part of your identity. But you can use that feedback, even if it is negative, destructive criticism. If there's truth in it, use it to grow. Some of us are too afraid of negative feedback. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there just ready and waiting. Like, post something that you think on Facebook or Instagram real quick, like something that is very, whether it's polarizing or it's an unpopular opinion, go ahead and post it and see how quickly people jump all over it and they begin to say, oh, maybe Andrea is not who we thought she was, or maybe who's Andrea to say that about anybody else, right? Or to believe that or think that. But the fact of the matter is, if we were to take in the truth of the feedback, maybe I wasn't as well informed. Maybe I didn't do my research before I made that post. Maybe I should have talked to the person instead of posting about it. Even if I tried to make it subliminal, it usually comes through that it's not. The point is that if I can take the truth of the feedback, like, Andrea, maybe you need to change your mode of communication, I can now use the negative things that have been said about me as fertilizer to grow, because now I'm going to become a better communicator. I'm going to know how to put my thoughts, my ideas out there in a way that they can be planted, that they can be received, that they can be helpful, they can help someone else grow. Don't be so worried about people who are speculating about your future potential or lack thereof based on what they see you doing right now, where they see you living right now, how they see you living right now. There's a future ahead of you that is better than anything that other people can imagine for you. And I'm so glad to know, God's ways are above my own. His thoughts are above my own. We get so caught up in what other people think of what we think that sometimes we begin to shift our own beliefs instead of being grounded and planted and letting our roots grow deep. We get so moved. We're like seeds that got planted in poor soil. It's just surface level. There's no roots to hold it down. And so wind blows and blows us away. And blows us away. The fact of the matter is that dirt is going to come. Don't fear the dirt. If you're going to bloom, that means you needed to be planted. If you're going to be planted, you're going to be in some dirt. And if you want to grow healthy and strong, you need some fertilizer. Unpleasant process, but necessary for your bloom to come up right. Necessary for your bloom to come up right. They can heap all the dirt on your name you want, but if you keep if you keep growing, you'll push right through it. Eventually, you're going to come right up through the dirt. You'll come right up through it. You will stand tall over it if you push through, if you keep growing. I hope this has encouraged someone. I'm about to run and go get my son from school, but be encouraged today. Do not be afraid of the dirt. We talked about the need to find good ground. We've talked about the need to not be afraid of the dirt. Don't be afraid of the covering up process. Don't be afraid of being hidden away from prying eyes or predators that would eat up your seed before it even had a chance to do what it's supposed to. Don't fear the dirt. I'll give you the other 3 that were posted on the blog. Shed the shell. Shed the shell. Once a seed is planted, it has to release that hard seed coat. That seed coat might have been comfortable for where the seed was. But if it stays in there, it won't produce what it's supposed to. Eventually, the green shoots have to come out and the roots have to grow deep. And it loses that seed coat that it's known all along. It's got to go. You got to shed the shell. Number 4, grow deep roots. Study, listen, read, learn, pray, worship, serve, be in fellowship. The deeper you go, the higher you can sustainably grow. And I've already done a live talking about that, but I have to say it again. The deeper your roots go, the higher you can sustainably grow. And number 5, embrace the stretching. It feels like you're being pulled far from everything that's familiar to you. Your life doesn't look the same. But the truth is that if you don't get stretched, if you stay in what you've always known, eventually you're going to stagnate. You're going to shrivel up, and you're going to waste away. You're going to die. You want your purpose to bloom. You want your purpose to grow. You've got to be stretched. If you resist the stretching, it turns into pain. Ask anyone who's strained a muscle or has been in something that, is moving very quickly. Ever been in a roller coaster and tried to keep yourself in one spot, and being all stiff is actually more uncomfortable than if you rolled the waves. Don't resist the stretching. If you resist the stretching, you miss out on knowledge you need. You miss out on the skill sets you need. You miss out on the patience and the capacity building that you need for you to grow. There's so much more out there for you. So today I want to encourage you. Don't be afraid. Find good ground. Don't be afraid of the dirt. Shed the shell. Grow deep roots and embrace the stretching. Have an amazing afternoon.